The plot of this movie is very simple, but also my biggest fear. Let's do it. Open Water is about this couple named Daniel and Susan, and you can tell there's some tension in their relationship because they're not able to spend a whole lot of time together because of their work schedules. So they decide they're going to go on a vacation and they want to go scuba diving. So they get on the boat, a head count is taken of 20 people, and they all go out scuba diving in the open water. Now, we see these other two people go in the water but come out pretty immediately and they're counted. But then they go back in the water, and when they come out a second time, they're counted again. So underwater, Daniel and Susan decide to kind of go off the beaten path a little bit, like kind of further away from the group. Now back above water on the boat, everybody returns and their head count is 20 because they counted this couple twice, and the boat takes off. So eventually Daniel and Susan surface and find the boat completely gone. At first they're confused, they think they just drifted really far. Very quickly it becomes evident that the boat left them, and they assume that they're going to realize it soon and they're going to come back. But as time goes on, they realize that nobody's coming back for them. So they start to get thirsty, they're hungry, they're exhausted, they start arguing with each other. They're like, we've been out here for hours. Even if they do come back, we have drifted so far from the diving site. And then that's when the sharks show up. So they start to see these sharks circling around them, and at first they don't really bother them a whole lot. But what does bother them is jellyfish, and they start stinging the both of them. And then Susan is bitten by something a bit bigger. So Daniel goes underwater to inspect her leg and finds that she has an open wound, so she was probably bit by a small shark, and other little fish are feeding on her wound. And then not long after, as the sharks are still circling, a bigger one takes a bite out of Daniel's leg and he starts to bleed pretty heavily. So Susan removes one of her pieces of equipment that she has on and uses it to wrap Daniel's leg, but it's to no avail. He goes into shock. Eventually, they're out there so long that night falls, so now they are in the middle of open, dark water, and the sharks come back. And they attack Daniel again, and this time he bleeds out and dies. Now, back with the diving company, an employee finds Daniel and Susan's belongings on board and has a flashback and remembers their faces and knows that they weren't on board on the way back. So this search begins for them. Boats go out, we see helicopters flying around. Again, they've drifted so far at this point, they are not in the same spot. Back with the couple, Susan looks down and realizes that she's holding Daniel and he's dead. He is gone. So she lets him go and just watches as the sharks proceed to swarm him and feed on his body. And then Susan looks underwater and sees multiple sharks circling her, just waiting. So at this point, she doesn't think that rescue's coming and she doesn't think she has another option, so she takes off her scuba gear and just disappears beneath the water. The movie ends with these fishermen catching a shark and cutting open its stomach, and they find Daniel and Susan's diving camera inside of it.